The mail-order bride wept, but the cowboy wanted only true love. The sunset bathed the vast prairie in golden light, the gentle rays filtering through thin clouds and reflecting off the sturdy yet weathered wooden cabin. Along the path leading to the ranch, Carrick Montgomery approached with steady, deliberate steps. He looked at Amelia, a small, trembling girl in a dusty cloak, her hands clutching the edges of her dress, her eyes glistening with tears, as if trying to offer her a sense of peace amid the Wild West. He gently draped his thick coat over her shoulders, pulled a warm blanket around her, and guided her step by step into the cabin. Inside, the atmosphere was cozy. Firelight flickered in the hearth. The wooden walls glowed with warm, golden reflections, and the scent of hot tea and freshly baked bread filled the air. Carrick placed a bowl of hot soup in front of Amelia, gazing at her with a quiet, protective tenderness. Amelia lowered her head and took a sip of tea, feeling the warmth spread through her. And for the first time, after a long, exhausting journey, she felt safe. Amid the dusty, cold winds of the Wild West, the image of the cowboy standing beside her, gentle yet steadfast, became a refuge, a solid ground to lean on. In that moment, her past tragedies and loneliness receded. In their place was a feeling of protection, trust, and hope for a new beginning. Part 1. The Journey to the West. The stagecoach swayed along the dusty red trail, its wheels crushing dry stones, producing a steady clatter that echoed across the vast expanse of the Wild West. Dust swirled with every jolt, while the golden rays of the late sun bathed the endless prairie, casting a honeyed glow over everything. Inside the coach, Amelia Foster sat quietly by the window, her hands clutching the dust-covered edges of her dress, her gaze fixed on the horizon where the grasslands seemed to stretch endlessly. She could no longer see Boston, no longer the tall buildings, cobblestone streets, and polished wooden doors she had passed each morning on her way to school. Instead, before her lay a vast, barren, and harsh land, yet full of potential and challenges. Each speck of dust kicked up by the wheels, mingling with the fiery sunlight, deepened her sense of solitude, as if she were traveling alone in a world where no one was familiar. Amelia took a deep breath, trying to steady her racing heart. She thought of Boston, the warm classroom walls, the laughter of children, the hopeful eyes of her students. But everything had changed. A scandal had stolen her reputation and future, turning her from a respected teacher into a woman shunned by society. No school would hire her, no acquaintance would look at her with respect. She had to leave everything, everywhere, and everyone she had loved. And now, this vast western land awaited her, filled with unseen challenges. She bowed her head, resting her forehead on her arms, trying to close her eyes and push away her fear. Her mind drifted to the letters she had exchanged with Carrick Montgomery, the man she would meet for the first time at Willow Creek Station. Through those letters, she imagined a strong, quiet, yet sincere man, a rancher who had lived alone in the harsh West for 5 years. The letters, brief but candid, had made her believe she could find a place to start anew. Yet fear lingered. She wondered, will he be as I imagine? Can I fit into life in this unfamiliar western land? Will it end in disappointment and loneliness once again? These questions echoed in her mind, each sway of the coach reminding her of the long, uncertain journey ahead. From afar, across the boundless prairie, Carrick Montgomery watched the road leading to the station. He stood beside his horse, eyes fixed on the approaching stagecoach. His movements were slow and deliberate, but full of resolve, as if accustomed to waiting, prepared for the surprises the Western life would bring. He knew the woman he was about to meet had endured a long, exhausting journey, carrying fears, insecurities, and fragile hopes. Carrick rested a hand on his horse's saddle, feeling its steady breaths, frowning as he saw the dust swirling along the trail. He had heard stories of mail-order brides, women arriving in the West in tears, afraid sometimes, fleeing at the sight of the man they were to marry. Yet he did not judge. Instead, he had prepared to welcome whatever came with the patience and compassion he believed everyone deserved. Amelia inhaled deeply, raising her head to look out the window once more. The red dust from the swaying coach coated her face, strands of hair tangled in the wind. She realized she was in a completely foreign land, with no familiar faces, no walls. She knew no friendly eyes. Every clatter of the wheels matched the beat of her heart, each swirling speck of dust, a reminder that this was a new beginning with no turning back. She gazed at the endless grasslands and distant hills like an invisible wall. Her mind overflowed with memories of Boston cobblestone streets, stately houses now faded into the past. In her heart, there was longing fear of the future and a fragile hope that here in the Wild West she might find a chance to live true to herself. The coach jolted over a rough patch of road. Amelia clutched the edge of her dress, fear coursing through her. Then she heard the distant clip-clop of hooves, steady and sure, and her eyes met the tall figure of a man wearing a wide-brimmed hat, standing still on the prairie. The sunset cast light through his silhouette, creating a perfect picture of human determination amid the vast wilderness. Carrick Montgomery continued to watch the stagecoach approach. He was ready to face the woman stepping down, prepared to welcome her without judgment, to offer the sense of safety she had not known for a long time. He understood that this moment of meeting would determine much trust emotions and the choices both would soon have to make. Amelia breathed quietly, hands trembling, yet her gaze fixed on the distant cowboy. She sensed steadiness and warmth in his eyes, an unexpected anchor in a harsh, uncertain land. Though fear still lingered, a flicker of hope ignited within her, that perhaps here she would not be entirely alone, that someone was ready to welcome her and help her start anew. The clatter of wheels, the wind across the prairie, and the slow wash of sunset light created a vivid scene, both harsh and beautiful. Amelia felt her heartbeat align with the coach's sway, each speck of dust reminding her of the journey ahead of unfamiliarity, but also of the opportunity to find a home, a place to be herself. Finally, the stagecoach came to a halt at Willow Creek Station. Amelia felt a flutter of anxiety, her heart racing, yet also a sense of relief, as if a new chapter of life were beginning. From a distance, Carrick Montgomery approached, his gaze gentle yet resolute, ready to welcome her, ready to give her the safety she had never known. In that moment, Amelia realized the harsh West held not only challenges, but also people who could become anchors, who could help her start anew, and perhaps one day become her true home. Amelia's breath steadied as she stepped down, red dust still clinging to her shoulders, but inside a glimmer of hope had sparked. She looked at Carrick once more, and he gave a slight nod, and a soft smile. No words were needed, just the meeting of their eyes, empathy and trust forming. Amelia realized that the long journey, the losses, the worries and fears had all led her to this moment, the moment when the western frontier would open the door to peace and a new beginning. And in the vast west, under the golden sunset, the stagecoach stopped like a full stop to the past, opening a door to the future, where a fateful story was beginning, where two strangers would meet, and where the absolute loneliness of a Boston girl would gradually give way to warmth, trust, and hope. Part 2. The Fateful Station. The stagecoach rocked with its final jolts, the wheels creaking over the gravelly tracks in a steady rhythm, each beat reminding Amelia that with every mile she was moving further from Boston, further from familiarity, further from the past she had known. As the wheels rolled closer to Willow Creek Station, red dust swirled around the coach, bathed in the fiery glow of the late afternoon sun, painting the entire landscape in golden light. Amelia lowered her head, taking deep, shaky breaths. She knew that the coming moment could change her life, meeting Carrick Montgomery for the first time, the man she had exchanged letters with, the man she hoped could be a home, a refuge in the Wild West. Yet fear and doubt lingered in her heart. Would he accept a woman with a scandalous past? Could she step down and appear strong enough in the eyes of this stranger? The coach door rattled, and Amelia felt every jolt travel through her small hands. A cold gust of wind swept in, making her shiver as her hair flew wildly across her face. She held tightly to her hat and dust-covered dress, trying to keep a straight posture, though her legs trembled with every step. Her red, tear-brimmed eyes scanned the empty station, only swirling dust, a few rotting planks of the platform, and sunlight filtering through the gaps in the old canopy. No familiar faces, no friendly eyes, just her and the vast land ahead. Amelia exhaled, loneliness swelling within her. She reached into her coat pocket and touched the letters from Carrick, his straightforward, simple, yet sincere words. She told herself, "I have to be strong. This is my last chance to start over. I cannot fail." Still fear crept through her bones, making each step slow, as if walking on the sun-scorched earth beneath the setting sun. At the far end of the platform, a figure appeared. Carrick Montgomery, tall and broad-shouldered, wide-brimmed hat shadowing his eyes, a thick coat reaching his knees, walked steadily toward her. He observed Amelia from a distance, his gaze deep, yet gentle. No words, no hurried gestures, only watchful eyes following her tentative steps. Suddenly, a strong gust of wind blew, lifting Amelia's cloak and tilting her hat. She stumbled, nearly slipping on the wooden platform. Carrick immediately stepped forward, his solid frame like a living wall, steadying her and helping her regain balance. In that instant, Amelia felt a strength and safety she had never known, a solidity she had never found in anyone before. He looked at her calmly, his eyes soft, without judgment or doubt, only genuine concern. Carrick slowly removed his thick coat, draping it over her shoulders, adding a warm blanket. His hand brushed lightly, as if to impart warmth and protection. Amelia was surprised. Her breath still hurried, but her racing heart began to slow. She had never imagined a stranger could be so gentle in this harsh, barren land. Amelia lowered her head, pressing her hands against the thick, warm fabric. In that moment, all her worries, all her anxieties, all her loneliness melted away, replaced by a sense of relief and safety. She looked at Carrick, seeing the sincerity in his gentle eyes, and for the first time in days, she felt as if she had found a true anchor, a place to lean on. Amid the wild emptiness of the West, Carrick nodded slightly, a faint smile touching his lips, yet he remained composed. "Ma'am, you'll freeze," he said, his voice low and warm, just enough for her to hear enough to soothe her worries. Amelia felt her heart ease, her breath no longer rushed. She smiled faintly, a glimmer of trust appearing in her eyes. This man, though a stranger, would not make her afraid anymore. The wind rustled through the station. Red dust whispered across the platform, and the sunset light painted the scene harsh yet magnificent. Carrick extended his hand, guiding her step by step toward the cabin, gentle but firm, ensuring each step was safe. Rusty, the ranch's loyal dog, barked softly, running around the station, creating an atmosphere both lively and reassuring, making Amelia feel less alone. Amelia took in the surroundings, the old wooden beams of the platform swirling red dust, the vibrant sunset casting light on every speck of dust and weathered plank. All of it seemed to make room for the moment she felt protected, cared for, and gently looked after in a way she had never experienced. She realized the West held not only dust wind and scorching sun, but also people capable of softening the harsh land and easing absolute loneliness. As they approached the cabin door, Carrick opened it, warm light spilling out, glimmering on Amelia's tangled hair. He placed a hand on her shoulder, smiling softly. "It's warmer inside." Amelia gazed at the flickering fire within, relief spreading through her, her heart settling. For the first time after a long journey, she did not tremble. She did not feel absolute fear. Instead, she felt protected, welcomed, and most importantly, trusted. She stepped inside, and Rusty ran up, the scent of hay and warmth filling the cabin. Carrick gently showed her where to sit, draping the warm blanket over her shoulders, then prepared a simple meal, bread-hot tea, and a steaming bowl of soup. She looked at him, surprised and touched. No judgment, no suspicion, only quiet, deep care. Amelia lowered her head, sipping the hot tea, feeling warmth spread through her body. For the first time in days, her heart felt at ease. All worries, fears, and insecurities from Boston seemed to vanish in this moment. The cowboy, standing there gentle and calm, had opened a door not just to the ranch, but to a new opportunity, a chance to trust, to heal, and to live authentically. The fire crackled in the hearth. The scent of tea and bread lingered. Rusty curled at her feet, and Carrick's tender gaze met hers, all creating a space both harsh and safe, a fateful moment she would never forget. A moment in which she realized that no matter how vast and wild the West, there could be places to lean on, protection to be found, and hope to nurture. Amelia inhaled deeply, closing her eyes briefly, feeling her breathing steady, her hands no longer trembling. This was the moment she knew her long, exhausting journey had not been in vain, that amid the harsh West, there were people ready to welcome her, and that a new story, a new life was waiting for her to begin. Part 3. Riding back to the ranch. The trail before them stretched endlessly, golden prairie grass, shimmering in the sunset, like a vast carpet undulating over gentle hills. A soft breeze blew, carrying the scent of dry earth, wild grasses, and the cool air of the fading day. Amelia felt each beat of the horse's hooves beneath her, a sensation both strange and reassuring. She clung tightly to Carrick, sensing the strength and stability in his body, and in that moment the fears from Boston and the long journey seemed to melt away. Carrick gently lifted her onto the saddle, each movement slow and careful, as if to instill complete trust in her. Rusty, the loyal ranch dog, ran in circles, bounding a few steps and returning softly, barking as if to confirm that she was safe. Amelia felt the warmth of the coat and blanket Carrick had draped over her shoulders, realizing this was the first time in days she had felt truly protected. They rode across the open prairie sunset, light glinting off each blade of grass, creating a scene both expansive and magical. Amelia looked around, eyes wide, trying to memorize every detail. The low hills, the occasional glimpses of cattle, the small roadside shrubs, all alive, both wild and intimate, making her realize the West was not only harsh, but astonishingly beautiful. Carrick spoke little, keeping the horse's pace steady, occasionally glancing at Amelia, observing her smallest gestures and reactions. He understood her nervousness and anxiety, and that this moment when she was entirely dependent on him was a test of trust. Yet he did not pressure her, allowing her to experience safety and stability on her own. Amelia felt her heartbeat gradually steady. She breathed deeply, drawing in the fresh air. The dust and dry wind on her skin no longer seemed threatening. All worries about the future, all loneliness, all memories of Boston began to fade as she met Carrick's gaze, seeing gentleness paired with strength, realizing that even in the Wild West, there were people who could soothe her heart and make her feel safe and protected. Rusty ran around playfully, bounding and rolling on the grass, creating a warm, intimate scene, as if telling Amelia that this was a place she could belong. Amelia smiled softly, her tension easing, replaced by trust, and a strange but comforting feeling she was no longer alone. Carrick's gaze turned toward the distant prairie where the ranch came into view at the end of the trail. The cabin peeked out from behind a large bush, smoke rising from the chimney, creating a scene both familiar and promising. He blinked softly, as if reassuring Amelia that she would be safe, that this place could be where she rested, started anew, and found the peace she had longed for. Amelia felt every beat of the horse beneath her, the rhythmic motion making her feel embraced in Carrick's arms. She exhaled, closing her eyes briefly, sensing his breath, nearby feeling stability and protection. Each step reminded her that no matter how wild the West, she had someone by her side ready to shelter and guide her, someone she could trust. They passed over a small hill, sunset light, catching Amelia's hair, making it shimmer like golden silk. Carrick said nothing, maintaining the horse's steady pace, his hand firm on the saddle, eyes forward. Yet he glanced at Amelia occasionally, as if to convey that she no longer needed to fear that he would never let her fall into danger. Amelia realized that all her worries, fears, and pressures from Boston were being soothed. Each step on the horse, each breath, each gentle gesture from Carrick created a near magical feeling. She was protected, safe, and cared for amidst the wild, yet not indifferent West. Rusty ran ahead, softly barking and looking back as if to lead them. His sparkling eyes made Amelia smile. She realized that this place was not only dust and endless prairie, but life, emotion, and connection, things she had never experienced in Boston or anywhere else. Carrick guided them closer to the ranch gate, his gentle gaze reassuring Amelia that they were near safety. He tilted his head, slightly smiling, and she returned a tentative but sincere smile. Step by step, they entered a space Amelia would come to call home, a place where she could begin a new chapter, be herself, and be trusted and protected. Upon reaching the cabin, Carrick led the horse into the corral and carefully helped Amelia down his hand, holding hers, firmly yet gently. She stepped inside, taking a deep breath, inhaling the scent of warm wood-hot tea and freshly baked bread. Rusty ran up, leaping around her feet before curling by the fireplace. Carrick draped a blanket over Amelia's shoulders, then guided her to the simple dining table with steaming soup, hot tea, and fragrant bread. The flickering firelight reflected on her face, illuminating her tear-brimmed eyes, now softened and replaced with trust and a sense of security. Amelia looked at Carrick, seeing gentleness and strength in his gaze, and for the first time, she realized that even in this harsh Wild West warmth and safety could be found if trust was placed in the right person. She felt her breathing steady, her trembling fade, replaced by a fragile but certain hope she could start over. She could find happiness, and she was no longer alone. Carrick stood nearby, his eyes gentle, non-judgmental, and warm, offering care and protection. Amelia sat sipping her tea, feeling the warmth spread through her body. This was a fateful moment when she realized that no matter how wild the West, there were people who could soften her heart, make her feel safe, and give her the chance to begin a new life, one full of hope, affection, and trust. As the sun set behind the hills, the cabin glowed with firelight, the simple meal warm and comforting, and Rusty curled by the hearth. Amelia realized that her long journey had brought her to a place she could call home, a place to be protected, to feel safe, and most importantly, to live truly as herself. And in the vast Wild West, where dust and the fading sunlight still lingered, Amelia understood that her life had entered a new chapter with Carrick Montgomery by her side, with trust, with safety and warmth, a place she could call home, where the journey of healing had truly begun. Part 4. The Ranch and the First Meal. The wooden cabin emerged amidst the vast prairie, its low roof sending smoke curling into the evening breeze. Inside, the fire crackled in the hearth, casting warm golden light across the simple wooden table, the copper water jug, and neatly arranged household items. The scent of burning wood, fresh-baked bread, and fragrant tea filled the air, making the small room feel inviting and cozy. Amelia stepped in, eyes wide with both surprise and curiosity, taking in every detail. It wasn't luxurious or elaborate, but the steadiness, simplicity, and quiet of the place brought her comfort. Carrick stood beside her, watching her every gesture with gentle eyes. He removed his wide-brimmed hat, placing it on a hook, his deep, warm voice saying, "It's warmer inside. Sit down, don't worry." Amelia nodded and slowly walked to the wooden chair at the table. Rusty ran in circles, barked softly, and curled at their feet, creating a sense of intimacy and safety. Carrick placed a steaming bowl of soup, a fresh slice of bread, and a cup of aromatic tea before her. He sat across, his gaze gentle without pressure. Amelia felt her heartbeat gradually steady, her breathing no longer rushed. The trembling and anxiety faded, as the familiar, comforting aromas reached her. She took a sip of tea, feeling the warmth spread through her body, dispelling the chill from the trail and station. Carrick watched her with a slight smile. His eyes held no judgment, no doubt only gentleness and sincerity. "Don't worry. Eat a little. It will make you feel better," he said, his voice low and reassuring, carrying a sense of protection. Amelia nodded carefully, dipping bread into the soup, savoring each bite, feeling the heat saltiness and fragrant flavors. She looked around the cabin, polished wooden planks, shelves with old books, wildflowers in a small vase on the table, and Rusty resting at their feet. The space felt both rugged and warm, intimate yet safe. She sensed her heart soften, experiencing a peace she hadn't felt in a long time. Carrick began speaking slow and natural. The journey from Cheyenne must have been tiring, wasn't it? Amelia nodded, warmth radiating from his words and gaze. She shared the long days on the stagecoach, the red dust, and the fear of stepping off at the station. He listened, never interrupting, occasionally nodding his gaze, patient and gentle. "I've heard many stories of women arriving in the West in tears." Carrick continued, his voice steady and warm. "But here you won't face it alone. No pressure, no judgment. Only sincerity and the chance to live honestly." Amelia absorbed his words, his gestures, and felt a rising sense of safety. For the first time, she realized that her loneliness and wounds from Boston could be healed, that she could trust another person, a stranger, yet genuine. Rusty jumped onto the chair, resting his head on Amelia's lap, making her smile softly. Carrick chuckled low and gentle. "See, it's not just you finding warmth. Rusty knows too." Amelia laughed lightly. The previous tension and unease melted away, replaced by comfort and connection. They continued eating, the conversation becoming lighter. Amelia spoke of Boston, her days teaching the students she loved, and those who had turned against her after the scandal. Carrick listened without judgment, his steady hands resting on the table, his gentle eyes encouraging her. Whenever she paused, he merely nodded or smiled, letting her feel the stability and sincerity he offered. "The West is harsh, but fair," Carrick said, voice deep and assured. "Those willing to work hard to learn and to live honestly will find joy and success." Amelia sensed the truth in his words, and a flicker of hope ignited within her. She could start over live, authentically, without fear of judgment or loneliness. Rusty jumped up again, licking Amelia's hand. She smiled softly, resting her hand on his head. Carrick smiled warm but strong, as if to say, "This is a place you can trust, a place where you belong." Amelia took another spoonful of soup, warmth spreading through her, feeling connected to Carrick, Rusty, and the surrounding space, a moment of healing where pain, loneliness, and fear made way for trust and warmth. When they finished eating, Carrick rose to clear the simple dishes, not requiring Amelia's help. He smiled, gentle eyes meeting hers. "No need to work. Today is your rest after the long journey." Amelia looked at him, warmth radiating from the touch of his hand on her shoulder. In that moment, she realized that even in this harsh West, with dust and scorching sun, there could be healing and safety if one trusted sincere people. After the meal, they sat by the fire, the flickering flames lighting their faces, creating a warm, intimate scene. Amelia spoke of her dreams, her hope of teaching again, her desire for a new life. Carrick listened, nodding and smiling, never interrupting or judging. His gaze, gentle yet profound, made Amelia feel a trust and connection she had never experienced. Rusty curled at their feet, occasionally leaping as if to join the conversation. Amelia laughed softly, resting her hand on him, warmth and closeness spreading through her. She looked at Carrick, gratitude and trust shining in her eyes. In this moment, amid the Wild West, the cozy wooden cabin, the crackling fire, and the simple, heartfelt meal, her pain and fear faded, replaced by connection, healing, and hope. Carrick looked at Amelia, quiet, yet full of warmth. "We'll face the West together. Not just the land or work, but building a life together." Amelia nodded, feeling her heart lighter than ever. She realized that in this vast West, no matter the challenges, she could find safety, trust, and above all, the warmth of human connection. As the evening drew to a close, the firelight reflected on Amelia's face, softening her eyes, her lips curving into a gentle smile. Rusty lay quietly, occasionally glancing at them, creating a complete sense of peace. Amelia knew this was the place she could truly begin again, a place where Boston's pain had faded, where hope, trust, and connection with Carrick opened a new chapter in her life. Part 5. Confessing the Past. The wooden cabin was bathed in the warm, golden light of the oil lamp, each flicker dancing across the rustic beams, reflecting on Amelia's face, making her eyes shimmer as if holding an entire sky of memories. The fire crackled steadily in the hearth, mingling with the soft wind blowing through the cabin's gaps, creating a space both intimate and warm. A place where secrets could be shared, where pain and fear could find understanding. Amelia draped the blanket over her shoulders, her hands trembling slightly as she held the warm cup of tea, taking a deep breath to steady her racing heart. She knew this moment between her and Carrick would determine much trust, understanding, and her ability to integrate into the Wild West she was soon to call home. She lowered her gaze, her voice trembling, but trying to remain calm. "Carrick, I haven't been entirely honest in my letters." She began, eyes fixed on the tea, as if drawing courage from the warmth rising from the cup. "In Boston, my reputation, it was destroyed. A misunderstanding, an accusation. I lost everything. I couldn't get hired at any school, had no friends, no respect. I was forced to leave it all behind." Carrick remained silent, his eyes gentle yet deep, the firelight casting a solemn but non-judgmental glow across his face. He let Amelia pour out her heart, listening without interruption, without doubt, attuned to each heartbeat, each breath, each word she spoke. Amelia sighed, tears sliding down her cheeks, yet she did not wipe them away. She felt the safety emanating from his eyes, from his calm and steady presence. In this moment, amid the warm lamplight and crackling fire, her fear seemed to dissipate. She dared to open her heart to reveal the past she had kept hidden. Carrick leaned slightly forward, his voice low, warm and full of empathy. "Amelia, I understand. I've experienced loss, been left behind, faced things no one could comprehend. After the war, I lost someone I thought would walk through life with me. I returned and everything had changed. I too suffered, was lonely, and had to learn to move forward." Amelia gasped softly, feeling as though every word he spoke reached the deepest part of her soul. She looked into his eyes, seeing the sincerity and vulnerability beneath his strong exterior, and for the first time felt true empathy, no judgment, No doubt, only understanding and sharing. Really? She whispered, her voice still trembling. Yes, Carrick replied, steady and warm. Everyone has a past. Everyone has stumbled. What matters is how we rise, how we face the present, and how we trust someone enough to share it. Amelia lowered her gaze, a mixture of shame and relief washing over her. She had thought her failures would make her forever unworthy of acceptance, that anyone who knew her past would turn away. But now, in the warm light and the crackling of the fire, she saw a man before her, willing to listen, willing to share, and willing to trust. Thank you for listening, she said softly, sincerely. I was afraid everyone would turn away, would judge me. I had no one but myself. Carrick tilted his head, his gentle eyes resting on hers, placing his warm hand over hers without pressure. Here you have nothing to fear. I do not judge. And you are not alone. As long as you are honest, everything else will find its way. Amelia looked at his hand, feeling warmth spread from his palm to her heart, letting out a light breath. She realized that for the first time since leaving Boston, she felt accepted, safe, and most importantly, capable of trusting someone. A fragile yet strong trust began to grow within her, like a sprout emerging from parched soil. Carrick smiled gently, a sincere and soft smile, not flamboyant or forced. Sharing your past is the first step toward healing, and you've done it. I am proud of the way you faced the truth, no matter how hard it was. Amelia felt her heart soften. Tears ran down her cheeks, now tears of relief and hope. She realized that her painful past had led her to this moment, to a person willing to understand and share, to a place where she could begin anew. Rusty lay curled at their feet, occasionally lifting his head as if aware of the significance of the moment. Amelia placed her hand on his head, gently stroking him, feeling warmth and comfort spread through her. Carrick watched her hands on Rusty, smiling softly, his gaze tender and affectionate. Amelia inhaled deeply, eyes still on Carrick, feeling each breath, each heartbeat. For the first time in many days, she no longer trembled, no longer felt absolute fear. Trust, empathy, and a sense of safety had begun to form. She knew that from this moment on, she could share everything, face every challenge, and find healing. Carrick leaned slightly, placing a hand on her shoulder, voice low and warm. Everything that is past has made you who you are today. You don't need to hide. You don't need to fear. We will move forward together, one step at a time. Amelia nodded, warmth spreading from her heart through her body. In this moment, amid the oil lamp's glow, the crackling fire, and Carrick's gentle yet strong presence, the wounds in her heart began to heal. She knew that even in the wild, harsh West, trust, empathy, and safety could be found a place where she truly belonged. Amelia smiled softly, her tears, subsiding eyes sparkling with hope. Thank you, Carrick. Thank you for listening, for understanding, and for giving me a chance. Carrick smiled, his gaze gentle. You don't need to thank me. Just be honest, and everything will be all right. I will be here always by your side to face everything with you. In that moment, in the wooden cabin, amidst the warm light and crackling fire, Amelia felt a deep connection, forming trust, taking root, and her heart, once wounded, beginning to open to a new chapter in life, a chapter of trust, empathy, and healing. Part 6, Learning and Belonging. Dawn broke over the vast west pale light filtering over the grassy hills, covering them with a thin veil of silvery mist. The wind whistled through the prairie, mingling with birdsong, creating a pure melody heralding the start of a new day. Amelia rose early, her eyes bright with determination. She looked around the small room, now familiar, realizing that from the moment she had stepped into the ranch, she had found a place she could call home, a place where she could truly be herself. Carrick had prepared a simple but hearty breakfast: eggs, toasted bread, and hot tea. Rusty lay curled at their feet, occasionally leaping up as Amelia approached the table. She smiled warmth, spreading from the familiar routine and from Carrick's gentle yet steady presence. For the first time, she felt she truly belonged here in this wild but vibrant West. After breakfast, Carrick led Amelia to the stables. The cattle grazed quietly yet powerfully, the sound of bells and the wind blending together to create a lively atmosphere. Carrick stood near her, his voice deep and warm. "Today we'll start with basic cattle herding. Don't worry, I'll show you step by step." Amelia nodded, her heart racing with excitement more than fear. She knew the work would be challenging, but it was also an opportunity to prove herself, to integrate, and to feel that she was truly a part of life in the West. Carrick guided her through each movement: how to hold the reins, how to direct the horse, how to watch the herd and read its signals. Amelia learned quickly. Though her hands were still clumsy, her eyes were focused and determined. Each time she did something correctly, Carrick smiled, his gaze gentle but full of encouragement. "Well done, Amelia. You're learning fast." The small but sincere praise warmed her heart slowly, nurturing hope and self-confidence. Rusty ran around, leaping playfully, drawing soft laughter from Amelia. She began to sense that this West, with its dust, sun, and challenges, was not just harsh, but full of life, and she could find her place here. Each step, each gesture, each smile from Carrick made her feel safe and warm, forming a deep connection. At midday, they returned to the kitchen to prepare a meal. Amelia learned to knead dough-bake bread and prepare food for the ranch. Carrick stood nearby, guiding her gently, but without pressure, allowing her to work independently while providing timely support. The sounds of the oven chopping and the aroma of hot bread created a familiar, welcoming space where Amelia could live, learn, and grow. Over the following days, Amelia gradually adapted to daily chores, feeding the cattle, checking fences, repairing small pens, and learning to care for the horses. Each time she failed, Carrick never judged, simply guiding her gently. Each success brought pride in his eyes, giving Amelia a sense of self-worth, confidence, and joy in learning. One afternoon, they herded the cattle back to the corral together. Amelia guided the horse, for the first time holding the reins, firmly, eyes tracking the herd, sensing their movements. Carrick walked beside her, occasionally placing a hand on her shoulder, his gaze gentle. "You're doing great. I knew you could do it." A feeling of safety and trust spread through her. For the first time, she truly felt part of the ranch, part of the West, and more importantly, she could trust the person beside her. Day by day, Amelia not only acquired practical skills, but also began to understand and integrate into the local community. Mrs. Martha Brennan, Beatrice Wilson, and other women from the village invited her to gatherings, teaching sewing, cooking, and conversation. From being a stranger, Amelia began to feel part of a community where she was welcomed, trusted, and given the opportunity to live authentically. Carrick watched her, his gaze calm and full of pride. He saw Amelia growing confident, stronger, and gradually belonging to this place. Each gesture, each smile, each small success in her work warmed his heart. He knew she was not only learning skills, but also building trust, connection, and a sense of belonging, qualities more valuable than any knowledge or skill. One evening, as the sunset streamed through the window, golden light reflecting off Amelia's hair, she prepared dinner, picking vegetables and slicing radishes. Carrick entered his gaze gentle. "You did well today, not just with work, but in how you're integrating building trust with Rusty, with the ranch, and with me." Amelia smiled softly. Her heart warmed. She realized that from a stranger, she had begun to become part of life here, a part she could call her own. Rusty ran around, jumping up to lick her hand, making Amelia laugh softly. Carrick stood nearby, hand resting gently on her shoulder. Warmth spread through her, blending with the crackling fire and the aroma of the meal, creating a moment of peace where all fear, loneliness, and insecurities seemed to melt away. Day by day, Amelia learned to blend work with joy, to trust and to cherish life in the West. Carrick stood beside her, not just as a guide, but as a support in every challenging moment. When she looked out over the endless prairie sunset light, bathing the land, she realized that the West was no longer a place to fear, but a place she belonged to, a place to live, learn, grow, and where trust, hope, and affection were blossoming. Learning, integrating, and building trust transformed Amelia from a frightened, trembling girl on her journey to the West into a part of life at the ranch, a part of this wild yet warm frontier. Each day, she felt more deeply that this place, together with Carrick and Rusty, was the home she had been seeking, a place to belong to, heal, and to thrive. Part 7. Preparing for the wedding. Early morning sunlight streamed gently through the cabin window, filling the warm, cozy space. Amelia awoke, her heart fluttering, a mix of excitement and happiness swelling in her chest. Today marked the beginning of a new chapter in her life, preparing for her wedding, the day she would become the wife of Carrick Montgomery, the man who had shared her pain, guided her to learn, and helped her integrate into the Wild West. After a simple breakfast, Carrick led Amelia down to the small town of Willow Creek. The dusty streets, rustic wooden shops, and the sound of birds, along with friendly locals, created a scene both intimate and lively. Amelia held Carrick's hand, feeling a wave of relief and safety. Rusty ran around them, occasionally jumping and barking softly, joining in the joy and anticipation of the soon-to-be married couple. They stopped in front of Madame Bouvier's shop, the renowned French seamstress of the town. Amelia stepped inside, eyes wide at the rows of fabrics, intricate patterns, and vibrant colors under the lamplight. Madame Bouvier welcomed them warmly in French. "Ah, Mademoiselle Montgomery, soon to be wed, I shall create a beautiful gown for you to make your special day perfect." Amelia blushed a small smile, revealing her excitement mixed with nervousness. She began selecting fabrics, considering every color and pattern, while Carrick stood nearby, his gaze gentle yet full of attentive care. He offered suggestions softly, without imposing or judging. "A light blue will highlight your eyes, but cream is elegant too." whichever you prefer, we'll choose." Amelia listened, heart-racing excitement and happiness mingling. She finally chose a soft powder blue, complementing her hair and eyes. Madame Bouvier smiled pleased and began taking measurements and preparing the gown. Amelia tried on a few styles, the fabric draping lightly, feeling feminine yet natural. Carrick stood close eyes following her every movement, occasionally smiling pride and tenderness shining in his gaze. As the gown neared completion, Carrick reached into his coat pocket and handed Amelia a small velvet pouch. She opened it to reveal a delicate gold ring with a small diamond, a gift he had kept from his mother. "This is my mother's ring," he said, his voice low and warm, tinged with emotion. "I want you to wear it, not just as jewelry, but as a promise that you will always be protected and loved." Amelia's throat tightened, warmth flowing from Carrick's hand to her heart. She gently placed the ring on her finger, looking into his eyes and feeling the trust, safety, and happiness that filled her. Rusty stood nearby, barking softly as if sharing in the sacred moment. Next, they visited the small town church. The wooden building with its pristine white steeple, neatly arranged pews, and sunlight streaming through stained glass windows created a space both solemn and serene. Amelia stepped inside, heart-racing pulse quickened. Carrick walked beside her, holding her hand firmly, eyes gentle and full of love. They spoke with Pastor Jenkins, who would officiate the wedding, discussing the ceremony, seating arrangements, and timing. Amelia felt reassured by the order and care easing her previous worries. Carrick lightly placed a hand on her shoulder, whispering, "Don't worry, you'll be fine. Today is ours." In the afternoon, Amelia returned to Madame Bouvier's shop for a final fitting. The gown clung gently to her figure, floor-length powder blue, highlighting her fair skin and blue eyes. Carrick gazed at her eyes, filled with joy and awe. "You look wonderful." Amelia blushed, but her radiant smile spoke volumes. Happiness, anticipation, and the fulfillment of the moment. Rusty leapt around, adding to the laughter and joy. Amelia looked at Carrick, seeing gentleness, respect, and love in every gesture. In that moment, within the small shop, bathed in golden light, over each fold of fabric and strand of hair, Amelia realized her life had completely changed. From a frightened girl, shedding tears on the stagecoach, she now stood confident, loved, and ready to step into a new chapter of complete happiness. Carrick led Amelia back to the ranch to prepare for the evening. Rusty ran ahead joyous, as if aware that tomorrow would be a significant day. Amelia helped prepare a light dinner, while Carrick organized items to ensure the wedding would proceed smoothly. Sunset light streamed through the windows, casting golden hues across their faces, creating a moment both romantic and peaceful, where all worries faded, replaced by anticipation, joy, and happiness. As night fell, Amelia sat by the fireplace, sipping her tea, eyes on Carrick as he prepared the final details for the wedding. She felt warmth spreading through her, a sense of safety and trust filling her heart. In that moment, a new hope began to bloom within her, that even in the wild and challenging West, she was no longer alone, and had found someone to share with, to love, and to trust for a lifetime. Part 8. The Wedding and the Community. Early morning. Sunlight filtered through the stained glass windows of the small Willow Creek Church, casting light onto the wooden pews and creating a space both solemn and warm. The wooden doors opened, and Amelia's footsteps echoed softly on the wooden floor. The long train of her wedding gown, sweeping gently blending with the quiet crackle of the fireplace inside the church. Amelia walked forward, her eyes shining, heart racing with excitement and happiness. She felt Carrick's gaze from the end of the aisle, his eyes filled with awe, pride, and deep love. Rusty stood outside the door, barking softly, as if participating in this sacred moment. For a brief instant, the entire town seemed to pause, welcoming the couple's special day. Pastor Jenkins stood before the altar, his voice deep yet gentle. Today we gather to witness the union of two people, Carrick Montgomery and Amelia Foster, in marriage. This is not only a personal event, but also a joining of heart's trust and faith in the community. Carrick stepped forward, solemn, yet with tender eyes. He lightly touched the ring his mother had left him, reminding himself of the responsibility, love, and trust he held for Amelia. Watching Amelia approach, he felt his heart swell with complete joy, each breath and heartbeat attuned to the happiness of the moment. Amelia moved forward, eyes focused on each step, the folds of her gown shifting softly with each movement. When she reached Carrick, they faced each other, eyes meeting, exchanging a gentle, meaningful smile. The long months apart, the fears from Boston, the trembling steps on the stagecoach, all converged in this moment. Soothed by Carrick's presence, witnessed by the community, and nurtured by the blossoming love between them. Pastor Jenkins began the ceremony. Marriage is the union of two people built on trust, sincerity, and love. Exchange your vows, not only in words, but through actions and heart. Carrick took Amelia's hand. Eyes, gentle voice, deep but steady. Amelia, I promise to stand by you, to protect you, and to build a full life with you. I promise to always be honest, always respect and love you. Amelia absorbed every word, every heartbeat, and responded, her voice trembling yet full of emotion. Carrick, I promise to stand with you, to trust you, and to share all joys, sorrows, and the work of life in the West. I promise to be sincere, honest, and to love you for life. Rusty barked softly, blending with the quiet crackle of the fireplace. The community stood around them. Neighbors, Mrs. Martha Brennan, Beatrice Wilson, and many familiar faces smiling warmly, welcoming Amelia as a new member of the town. Carrick gently opened the velvet pouch, presenting the ring his mother had given him to Amelia. She inhaled deeply, cherishing the moment, sliding the ring onto her finger, feeling both sacredness and immense happiness. Carrick placed the ring on his hand as well, their hands touching, exchanging strength, trust, and deep love. When Pastor Jenkins declared, I now pronounce you husband and wife, Carrick and Amelia looked into each other's eyes, joy radiating fully, and then they kissed. The kiss was gentle, yet complete, not only an expression of love, but also trust, empathy, and all the experiences that had led them to this moment. The community applauded, laughter and congratulations filling the church. Amelia felt every gaze, every smile, every word of blessing and warmth spread fully through her heart. This was not just a wedding day, but the moment she officially belonged to a place, a community, and a person she could trust and rely on. Rusty ran around joyfully, sharing in the happiness of the newlyweds. Amelia held Carrick's hand, savoring every moment, feeling the warmth from his hand, his eyes, and from everyone around them. All past worries, fears, and hurts melted away, replaced by happiness, trust, and a deep sense of connection. After the ceremony, the entire community stepped out into the churchyard. The afternoon sun illuminated Amelia and Carrick's hair, creating a vivid and radiant scene. Blessings, hugs, and handshakes carried deep meaning, showing that their happiness was not just theirs alone, but a shared joy for the entire community. Amelia looked around, eyes sparkling happiness spreading through her. She knew that the Wild West, with all its challenges, had become a place she belonged, a place where she was loved and could live authentically. Carrick stood beside her eyes, gentle hand in hand, sharing this perfect moment. Rusty ran around, barking softly, adding laughter for everyone. The scene was filled with warmth, the community welcoming, and love blossoming around the young couple. Amelia realized this was the perfect moment where all experiences, all past pain, and all hope had converged, creating a fulfilling conclusion to her journey of finding love, trust, and belonging. As the afternoon progressed, filled with laughter, congratulations, and complete joy, Amelia and Carrick stood side by side looking toward the ranch, realizing that this place, this West, had become their true home. A place not just to live, but to build a future love and trust in each other and in their community. Part 9. Married Life and Children. Dawn broke over the west, golden light spreading across Carrick's vast ranch. The wind whistled through the grass, mingling with birdsong, creating a pure melody for the start of a new day. Amelia rose early, eyes sparkling with joy and determination. She drew back the curtains, looking out to see cattle grazing, horses frolicking, and Rusty running around, leaping to greet the first sunlight. She realized that the Wild West, though harsh, had truly become a home, a place she belonged. Carrick had prepared a simple breakfast: fried eggs, toasted bread, and hot tea. Amelia helped set the table. Rusty curled at their feet, creating a warm and peaceful atmosphere. After breakfast, they went out to the fields, checking fences leading the herd to graze and tending to the horses. Amelia learned step by step, from observing the herd, reading their signals, to guiding the horses gently but confidently. Carrick stood beside her, guiding patiently without pressure, allowing her to try and discover on her own. Each time Amelia did something correctly, he smiled softly, his gaze gentle. "Well done, Amelia. You're doing very well." These sincere words warmed her heart, fostering confidence and joy in learning. The next day, Amelia returned to Willow Creek School, taking charge of teaching 15 students aged 6 to 16. At first, she felt nervous, fearing she might not do well. But looking into the eager, curious eyes of her students, she realized the work brought her joy and meaning. She told stories, guided the children, and step by step, her voice and gaze grew stronger with confidence. Carrick often visited, bringing necessary supplies from the ranch, or simply watching Amelia teach, his gaze gentle and proud. He saw that Amelia was not only integrating, but also contributing meaningfully to the community while strengthening trust and love between them. Rusty waited outside the classroom, occasionally barking softly, reminding them that home and ranch still awaited. Amelia smiled, warmth spreading, realizing that life in the West was not just work, but also connection, a new family taking shape. Over time, Amelia noticed changes in her body. She became pregnant, and Carrick immediately showed care, attending to every detail. He prepared nutritious meals, ensured she rested adequately, and hired extra help at the ranch to ease the workload. Amelia felt his love and attention, every small action making her feel valued and safe. Day by day, Amelia learned to balance teaching ranch duties and preparing for motherhood. She taught 3 days a week, spending the rest of her time helping Carrick with the herd horses and pens. Every small success, from controlling the cattle to students achieving good results, brought joy and pride. Carrick stood beside her eyes, filled with happiness, holding her hand during challenging moments, building unwavering trust. One autumn evening, as sunset light streamed through the cabin window, Amelia felt the first contractions. Carrick immediately held her hand, eyes anxious yet calm. "Are you all right? Rusty will be here, and I'll stay with you the entire time." Amelia closed her eyes, feeling the warmth of his steady breath, the safety and stability spreading through her body. Martha Brennan and Beatrice Wilson arrived promptly to help preparing everything for the birth. The atmosphere was tense, yet warm, mingling with the crackling fire and the scent of candles. Amelia felt the love, care, and support surrounding her, easing her fears. Late into the night, after hours of patience, Amelia gave birth to a healthy baby boy. Carrick stood beside her, eyes brimming with tears, holding her hand tightly, voice choked with emotion. I can't believe it. We have a child." Amelia smiled, eyes shining with happiness. "I know you'll be a wonderful father." Rusty barked softly, running around the crib, as if celebrating the new family member. They named the boy James, after Carrick's grandfather. The first moment Carrick held James in his arms, his gaze filled with love, heartbeat syncing with the baby's breathing. Amelia looked at father and son, tears streaming, feeling complete happiness. It was not just a bond between them, but the formation of a new family, where love, trust, and responsibility intertwined. Day by day, Amelia and Carrick built their family life, caring for James, teaching, working on the ranch, and participating in the community. Amelia became skilled in every task, from feeding cattle, tending horses, to managing the kitchen and preparing meals for the family. Carrick stood beside her, not only as a guide, but as a devoted partner and emotional support. Rusty remained ever present, leaping and bringing joy to the family. Amelia savored every moment, from James's laughter, Carrick's gentle gaze, to the peace of the ranch and community around them. Each day was a discovery, a growth, and a happiness flowing from love, family, and belonging. When winter arrived and snow blanketed the mountaintops, Amelia and Carrick continued tending the ranch, now with James in their care and Rusty nearby. They adapted to the harsh weather, sharing work and joy, teaching James the first lessons of life in the Wild West. Amelia realized that from a fearful girl shedding tears on the stagecoach, she had become a mother, a teacher, and a strong, loving, and trusting wife. Carrick, once a solitary man, had become a father, husband, and devoted partner. Rusty, loyal and cheerful, remained the bridge between them, completing their life together. Looking out over the vast prairie sunset, light falling on the roof and the herd, Amelia felt that the West was not only a land of challenges, but also a place where love, growth, and family could flourish. Each day, she appreciated the value of connection, trust, and the complete happiness of her newly formed family. In the quiet evenings gathered by the fire, Amelia placed James in his crib, Carrick sitting beside her hand in hand, eyes gentle and full of love. Rusty lay curled at their feet, the crackling fire blending with James's breathing. Amelia closed her eyes, feeling every heartbeat and breath, realizing that life in the West, though harsh, had become a complete home, a place where love, trust, and family truly existed. Part 10. Enduring Love. Outside the ranch, the fields stretched wide, covered in pristine winter snow. The cold wind swept across the hills, whistling through every gap in the wooden cabin, creating a natural melody, both powerful and gentle. Inside, the fire crackled warmly in the hearth golden light, dancing across the wooden walls, crafting a peaceful and familiar space. This was the home Amelia and Carrick had built together, a place where love, family, and community intertwined. Amelia awoke before sunrise, looking out the window at snow gently settling on the roof and prairie. Rusty curled near the hearth, occasionally lifting his head with a joyful glance. She took a deep breath, savoring the scent of burning wood, baking bread, and the peace filling the room. James, their little son, slept soundly in his crib, breathing evenly and peacefully. She smiled, her heart full of happiness. From the moments of tears on the stagecoach to the months of learning, integrating, and building a family, she now realized she had found a complete life, one where love and trust endured. Carrick entered, eyes gentle, as he looked at Amelia. He brought a cup of hot tea, placing it beside her, and softly said, "Did you sleep well? The snow is thick, but here we are, always warm." Amelia nodded, smiling, feeling his care and tenderness. Rusty leapt up, weaving around them, bringing a sense of joy and closeness. After a simple breakfast, Amelia prepared James for a small ranch lesson, guiding him through early activities, observing nature, connecting with the western land, and learning through play. Carrick stood beside her, showing how to balance work, family care, and ranch management, his gaze full of pride and gentleness. The day passed with familiar chores, checking the herd, feeding horses, repairing fences, cleaning pens. Amelia became increasingly skilled, from herding cattle and guiding horses to managing the ranch alongside Carrick. Every small success brought confidence and happiness, reinforcing her sense of belonging. Carrick was always there, supporting and encouraging her, his eyes full of love and trust. In the afternoon, as snow fell heavily, Amelia and Carrick prepared meals together in the kitchen. They shared every task, from picking vegetables and chopping to cooking soup and baking bread. James sat near the hearth, watching intently, occasionally giggling as Rusty ran around. Amelia felt a complete connection among the three of them, recognizing that true happiness lay in sharing love and the presence of family. Carrick placed his hand on Amelia's shoulder, gaze gentle. "Every day, I feel happier having you by my side. Snow or sun, we always have each other and James." Amelia squeezed his hand, eyes shining. "I feel the same. Here I feel at peace, loved, and able to live true to myself." In the evening, they sat by the fire, sharing stories, soft laughter, and warmth filling the cabin. Amelia spoke of her students at Willow Creek School, delighting in their progress. Carrick spoke of plans to expand the ranch, build new pens, and improve water systems. Through sharing conversation, and planning together, they realized that love was not only an emotion, but also a partnership in building a future. James slept peacefully in the crib. Rusty curled nearby, the wind outside and fire inside blending into a soothing rhythm. Amelia leaned against Carrick, feeling his steady heartbeat and warmth, realizing that through fears, hardships, and challenges, they had created a true home, a place where love, trust, and family endured. Weeks passed. With a steady rhythm, Amelia taught, cared for. James managed the kitchen and assisted Carrick with ranch duties. Carrick patiently guided, helped, and protected the family. Rusty remained present, bringing joy and connection. Amelia felt that all previous struggles had meaning. They had led her to love, happiness, and the peace she now experienced. One weekend afternoon, Amelia and Carrick took James to the pasture, letting him play and learn to observe nature. Carrick held Amelia's hand, eyes looking into the distant sunlight, highlighting her hair, showing her gentle yet strong presence. Amelia smiled, feeling peace radiate through her, realizing that enduring love was not only an emotion, but also sharing companionship and constant presence. Winter gradually passed snow, blanketing the mountain peaks, but inside the cabin, the fire crackled, laughter echoed, and love flowed, creating a perfect home. Amelia and Carrick cared for James, managed the ranch, engaged with the community, and day by day, their love deepened and strengthened. One quiet evening, Amelia sat by the hearth, James sleeping soundly in Carrick's arms. Carrick placed his hand on her shoulder, looking deeply into her eyes, voice warm. "Do you know everything we've been through has led us to this moment? I'm happy to have you and James by my side." Amelia smiled, a tear sliding down me too. "I never imagined I could be this happy. From the hard days we have built a home and an enduring love." Rusty jumped up, circling their feet, while the wind outside and firelight inside blended into a gentle melody. Amelia felt every heartbeat and breath of Carrick and James, realizing they had created a true family, a home where love, trust, and happiness endure. As night fell, snow drifting lightly past the windows, warm firelight filled the cabin. Amelia leaned against Carrick, eyes closed, feeling peace, healing, and hope. Their love was no longer a fleeting feeling, but a lasting presence, a home built to endure, a daily choice to love, trust, and care for one another. In the days that followed, they maintained this rhythm, caring for James, learning and working on the ranch, integrating with the community, sharing love and tenderness every day. Amelia realized that enduring love was companionship, trust, and building a home together, not only for the present, but also for the future. Rusty ran around, leaping in the late day light, James giggling, and Amelia and Carrick holding hands, looking over the snow-covered fields, knowing that from hardships and struggles, they had created a story of enduring love, a happy home, and a complete family, where hope, love, and trust exist forever. Peace and happiness. Outside the ranch, snow blanketed the rolling fields and rooftops. The winter wind whispered through every gap, creating a gentle yet vibrant melody. Inside the wooden cabin, the fire crackled warmly in the hearth, golden light illuminating Carrick and Amelia's faces, reflecting the faint lines of happiness and tranquility. Carrick sat leaning back in his chair, Amelia resting against his shoulder, hands clasped tightly. Between them lay James, their little son, sleeping soundly in his crib, breathing evenly and peacefully. Rusty curled up nearby eyes, half closed, yet still attentive to every movement of the family. The space was quiet, filled only with the crackle of the fire, the scent of burning wood, and the aroma of hot tea permeating the cabin. Carrick gently placed his hand on Amelia's shoulder, voice deep and warm. "Do you know everything we've been through has led us to this moment? I'm happy to have you and James by my side." Amelia smiled, eyes shining, tears of happiness sliding gently down her cheeks. "Me too. From the very first day I stepped off the stagecoach, trembling and afraid, to now. We've built a home, a lasting love." They sipped hot tea together, talking about the future upcoming seasons on the ranch, plans to expand the school, and dreams of a happy family where love and kindness always thrive. Every word and gentle gesture reflected the completeness of the love they had built. The scene outside, with snow falling over white fields, combined with the warm golden light inside, painted a perfect picture of peace, healing, and happiness. Amelia looked at Carrick, feeling his steady heartbeat beside her, and realized that even the harsh Wild West could be a place where love, kindness, and hope flourish. In the Wild West, love and kindness are the only shelter. Small acts of kindness can change lives, and true happiness is built from sincerity, trust, and quiet love. Leave a comment and rate it from 0 to 10. Subscribe and tap the bell so you won't miss the next ride. Click here to watch the next Wild West stories. This moment comes to a close, but the story of Carrick, Amelia, James, and Rusty continues amid the Wild West, filled with love, kindness, and hope. Every small act, every gentle word contributes to a complete life, a happy family, and a connected community.